I'll call to order the President and the Board of Trustees. Roll call, please.
Trustee Peck.
Here.
Trustee Rassich.
Here.
Trustee Wajowski.
Here.
Trustee Benucci. Here. Trustee Lamb.
Here.
Trustee O'Rourke.
Here.
Mayor Collins.
Here. If we could rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance.
Presidential comments.
Last month, I received some correspondence, and I thought I'd hold it until tonight because this is our first meeting, more or less, well, second meeting of the year, but first meeting since I received the document. I received correspondence from the Government Finance Officers Association, and it would read, "The Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Finance Reporting has been awarded to the Village of Plainfield by the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada, the GFOA, for its comprehensive and annual financial report, the CAFR. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by a government and its management. An award of financing reporting achievement has been awarded to the individuals or individual department or agency designated by the government as primarily responsible for preparing an award-winning CAFR. And this has been presented to Tracy Pleckham, Management Service Director. She's almost blushing like Mr. Rassich's face there.
Speech.
The CAFR has been judged by impartial panel to meet the high standards of the program, including demonstrating constructive spirit of full disclosure to clearly communicate its financial story and motivate potential users and users groups to read the CAFR. I love all these. You know.
It means something.
Yes, the GFOA is a nonprofit professional association serving approximately 17,500 government financial professionals with offices in Chicago and Washington, D.C. So congratulations to Mrs. Pleckham. And that would be all I have.
Trustees' comments.
I'm sorry, I had a couple of comments. One of them starts off with, there was a survey that was contained in the water bill this month, and I guess from my perspective, it was a little confusing, and I guess easy to ignore, knowing that I had to sign it, or if you did. And basically what it was asking if you had pools, hot tubs, direct connection, and what kind of backflow meters. Can you explain a little bit maybe what that entails and who needs to reply, or should we ask them to reply?
Sure. Just very briefly, this was as required by the EPA. There was a one-page flyer that was sent out to all our residents to take a look at. Backflow prevention is very important. It prevents contamination from entering the water system, and that all of our commercial, industrial customers, anyone with a fire sprinkler system, has been required to have these devices for a long, long time. We do regular inspections, testing, things of that nature. The EPA, as per their new requirements, requires the village to send this out to all residents. And over 90% of the residents, this does not apply to. So I want to be clear with that too as well. But if residents do have items that are listed here, like an in-ground pool or underground sprinkler system, this is just a survey to indicate that they have the proper backflow prevention device. It is not mandatory that residents fill this out, but it's suggested that they do that. So this is not Big Brother or big government here or anything like that, but it is a new EPA requirement. We're just following that requirement.
Did I read
To
it
your
properly?
point, though, you're right that it is a paper survey to be mailed back on in to the village in a separate envelope from where you would otherwise submit your water bill. So that isn't something that we asked for. In fact, we asked if we could do this electronically and have our residents respond electronically. However, apparently the EPA still encourages and requires in certain circumstances that we do paper surveys. We also looked at some other alternatives on how to get that message out, and they were rather insistent on the process that we were to use. And I do have to put a little bit of a dig in. I find it very interesting that the EPA wants us to use postage when they can't even send us their reports to us by mail because they can't afford the postage. So it's kind of a little, yeah.
And and just for more clarity, I guess, just so I understand, and maybe the residents listening, so I have a pool and I just use the hose to fill it. That's not a requirement under the survey, correct?
If there's no direct connection, you are not required to fill this out. You're not required to have a backflow preventer either.
Thank you.
Also, the verbiage in that letter, there was an indication that you shall not change the verbiage. It should be mailed out as given us, so. We did not choose any of the verbiage in the letter.
The other thing that I had for Public Works is the LED streetlight replacement. A resident, just so you guys know, a resident expressed their gratitude with the village in upgrading the lighting system, and they seem to talk to praise. They liked it very well, so thank you. And then lastly, this is for the chief. I think it was in the village newsletter. There was a comment there about the community officers being available, I think, for like block parties and serving hot dogs and those kinds of things. Is that correct? Is that something we've been doing? And I guess, you know, with all the overtime talk, I guess the question would come to mind is that an issue that adds to that overtime number, or how exactly does that program work?
Every spring, summer, and early fall, we do get a number of requests for block parties. And also, we took the initiative several years ago where we started doing community picnics in different, we can only do so many in the summertime, but in different neighborhoods throughout the village as a way for us to interact a little bit more with the community and with the people in the neighborhood. Here are some of the issues that they may have, and again, also bring some of our equipment out and some of our personnel to interact a little bit more. Those events require minimal, if any, overtime at all. For the block parties specifically, which are typically held on Saturdays, we do have a few on Sundays, but typically on Saturdays. Usually what we try to do is we try to have the officers that are working patrol that respective period, the respective zones, go by the block parties if call volume allows, and just interact with the residents in that respective block. For the community picnics, it's typically the community resource officers, some CSOs, and then some command staff like myself and a couple of the commanders that go out to these community picnics. And also we typically have our emergency management folks maybe bring a couple pieces of equipment out as well. These events also are minimal, if any, overtime. Obviously, the command staff doesn't have any overtime, but even our community resource officers that go out there, because these events are pre-planned, usually at least a month in advance, they're able to adjust their schedules so that it doesn't require any overtime or anything like that. And as far as community service officers, again, we adjust their schedule to account for these community service picnics, or neighborhood picnics. So again, I'm not going to say there's zero overtime, because there has been occasion where something has come up, but for the vast majority of them, it doesn't require any overtime at all.
Perfect. Thank you. It sounds like a nice program.
Yeah, more importantly, it is really a nice program because it does get a dialogue going between the residents and the police. And there are not many other opportunities for doing that. It's a very informal, casual way. I've been at a couple of them, and the discussion is, people feel very good about the opportunity to talk and realize what our police force does and who they are and all that sort of stuff. So please continue on it. They're excellent.
Thank you. And if I may add real briefly, we are going to be putting a notice out through social media and other means for neighborhoods that are interested in having the community picnics again this year. So since I have the TV media, if you will, I'd like to put that notice out. If any neighborhood is interested in having a community picnic, again, we can't hit everybody if we have too many, but if you are interested, please contact the police department, and we'd be happy to try to set that up.
The mayor had a very exciting announcement about that award. And again, congratulations to staff, and thank you for all the hard work. I actually have one thought, and I'd like to see if we can take this one step further. If we take a look at the Will County Treasurer's website, you can see that they have every single check available online that the county writes, I believe except for the Forest Preserve expenses. Now they're at budgets about 8 times the size of ours, and I don't know if we have the technology infrastructure to do something similar. Essentially, if nobody on the board objects, I'd like for possibly staff to look into this and see if that's something that we can do with the resources we already have and make that available to the public. And if not, how much would it cost, and can it be included in our budget or not? That's all. Thank you.
Comment with that one too, actually, because data we got this time has 36 pages of checks. And I don't know, there are at least 20 or so items on each page, so that's already a lot of dissemination. I do go through it all, but I'm wondering how many people really would care to go through all that stuff. So it's something to consider. Trustee Peck's request is certainly worth looking into, but I really wonder how beneficial it will be, because right now it's available in paper form, and it's a lot of paper. And everybody on the board gets it. If somebody really wants, I'll be happy to share mine, give them my copy of this, so.
Mayor Collins? Okay. You know, I'm going to bring up a subject that is not very popular with some people, but is popular with others. Basically, it's unfortunate that the Village of Plainfield currently is embroiled in a particular dilemma. The dilemma is, should it support the Plainfield Library District referendum, or should it deny it? Recently, I expressed my opinion in a short statement. I didn't realize that I would get so much feedback, and not all of it was not all of it was positive, but that's neither here nor there. And I still support the library. You know, when I think, you know what, I fortunately have had a lot of experience in living just my large number of years. Whenever I think of a community, I always reflect on an analogy delivered by an individual named George Santayana. He was a Spanish Spanish Nobel Prize winner for philosophy. He said something that's really important and is applicable, in my estimation, for my support for the library. He said, all societies are like the fabric of cloth. That is, they're woven from the threads of community entities. The threads may consist of educational institutions, religious institutions, police and fire protection services, medical facilities and services, all governmental units, all the way from local to our national offices, our social clubs, our service clubs, our youth club organizations, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, et cetera, et cetera. And I must mention, and as last but not least, the thread of a strong public library system, a strong institution for everyone. Friends, if any of you take anything from this community, any of the pillars from this community, the pillars that I had just mentioned, you're going to diminish the community. If a thread is cut, the fabric is cut. In closure, I appeal to all residents of the Village of Plainfield to support the Plainfield Library District, to vote yes on the March 15th, 2015 library referendum. It's important, it's an important thread in our society, and it's part of the fabric of the Village of Plainfield, and I feel strongly about that. In second closure, second closure. Recently, in my mailbox, I found two of these. These are called door hangers. They belong on a door. They're to be hung on a door, not placed in public mailboxes. There are ordinances against this, federal ordinance, postal situations that say you do not put political advertisements, service advertisements, or any door hangers that offer a particular position. Fortunately, I could reach out to someone who put these in mailboxes. What they should possibly do is go to the library, speak with the consultant there, and they will be able to use the computer and direct you to federal law, which will enlighten that individual or that particular group on where to place this type of material. It's very important for us to follow our guidelines, because without a correct procedure, there's a loss. Thank you.
Are there any other trustee comments?
One more on the library. I've heard comments that the library is obsolete. Whoever said that, or who is saying that, I haven't been by recently because the library's got a lot of people. Parents come in with their kids. It's a very active place. It's way too small. And it's an amenity which I think is very important for Plainfield's future. So I hope people look into this seriously and decide whether they want to support it or not. But a library is certainly not obsolete. It's a very important part of our community. And if we end up with a new, better one, we'll be better off yet.
Are there any other trustee comments? Not, this will be the time for public comments.
Hi, guys. I'm Vicki Polito. I live in Walker's Grove. I probably should walk to the other side. I want to thank the two trustees for their comments about the library, and also mention that I've heard from neighbors just due west of Village Hall that they are indeed getting these things stuffed in their mailbox, sometimes multiple copies. And I would remind everyone, yes, that is a federal offense. That is against the law. People should not be doing that. And if neighbors are having this happen to them, they should report that to the post office to look into. Also, something that Trustee Lamb said made me think, I understand, and I have indeed seen how, I think it's due to some of the work of Duffy Blackburn over at Will County, that posting of all the check stuff gets on the county website. And that is a great thing that they do, but when you're talking about things that might interest people, if you guys would please revisit, I think something that would be easier, again, would be these board packets, which no doubt the public would also be interested in, and they aren't quite as voluminous, I don't think, as doing all your check and finance information, as interesting as that might be to somebody. So please think about that as well as something you might be putting out there for the public to view. Thanks.
Are there any other public comments? If not, we'll proceed with the business meeting. We're seeking a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda to include minutes of the board meeting held on February 1st, bills paid and bills payable reports for March 7th, cash and investments, revenue and expenditure reports for January.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve items A through C under the consent agenda. Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is cruise nights. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to authorize the road closures as identified in the staff report for cruise nights to be held on Tuesday evenings from June 7th to August 30th.
So move.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
I have a particular question in regard to 3, 4, and 5, perhaps, and 6. Perhaps Administrator Murphy could address this. Have we discussed with these particular groups before we vote on them, are they going to be able to pay for their particular event? I brought this up at a previous meeting a couple months ago, and I remember listing in excess of $100,000 of village money to support different activities in the community. And I was wondering, are these groups are going to be able to pay for whatever service the village of Plainfield provides for them?
Well, I'll ask to have Chief Konopek also speak to the detailed conversations with a couple of the different groups and where we stand with our staff review on charging fees. I can tell you, though, that I talked with the chamber with regard to the cruise nights. As that is a downtown event, there is a direct benefit to the downtown area. We still can use TIF funds to cover our costs for that particular event. And as such, we will be charging the TIF for those direct overtime costs for cruise nights. I do know that we are planning to have a committee, the whole discussion with regard to the larger issue in April. That's not to say, though, with the idea that that conversation will continue on after April with a number of the different groups. I've talked with a couple of groups because this subject has been broached obviously by the board, and they know that the conversation is coming with regard to how this would necessarily affect their events. And we've had some pretty good conversations with a couple of the different organizations. But again, Chief Konopek is taking the lead on putting together that committee of the whole, and perhaps he has additional information that he can share with the board now.
The planning for these events that are coming forward today actually started occurring back before that discussion, February or January. I can't remember the exact meeting. But that planning actually started before that discussion was even initiated. But our plan moving forward is to see what direction the board would like to take when we do our presentation next month at the Committee of the Whole, whether it be no reimbursement, some reimbursement, or all reimbursement. And then from that point forward, based on the direction of the board, that's how we would approach these groups moving forward as far as their financial obligations to the village. In some of these instances that were coming forward tonight, they have been, some of these groups have been providing partial reimbursement back to the village for services rendered. But again, based on the direction of the board next month, we will adjust whatever the board's wish is at that point.
Chief and Administrator, these 4 events that are being discussed this evening, I'm not saying I deny activities, community activities, cruise night, the St. Mary's, Icon in the March for Babies, etc. Those are all valuable. They're all valuable activities. The only thing is, I think that I get tired, and it becomes tiresome to hear people criticize this board by saying, you are stupid because you don't know how to spend the village money. Well, you know what? I don't think anyone on this board could fall into the category of being dull and non-caring. But we have to discuss it, and I'm looking forward to that discussion in April. These activities are very valuable, but yet I strongly feel that they have to learn how to pay for themselves. That's all. Thank you.
Chief, are you comfortable with the, I know it was one of your issues in your yearly report that brought up the $100,000 that the police department used for overtime. Are you comfortable with these events going forward? At the current rate, are you budgeted properly for it, I assume?
Yes, we have budgeted. We have budgeted for all these events, so we shouldn't have any problem monetary-wise. But again, I am specifically looking for direction from the board moving forward to figure out what we want to do with these events.
Okay, and out of all the ones that we're gonna either approve or deny tonight, I think the cruise nights are the most expensive, and it's the longest duration. So we should have the cow and maybe a board meeting to approve if we decide to charge the Chamber of Commerce or we don't. We'll know halfway through the season, correct?
Well, our recommendation would be that the events for this particular year would be covered largely by how we have been operating. At least that's where I expect our recommendation as staff is going to go come April. Of course, that always is up to the board's discretion on how you wish to proceed. But with regard to these particular events, our recommendation is that we would maintain our current status quo and perhaps change with the next calendar year events.
I would agree with that, because otherwise, how do you tell people what it's going to cost? I mean, changing it the 11th hour is kind of hard, or saying we approve it tonight, we're going to charge you later. It's for these, but then going forward, I think that's where we need the discussion, is for next year.
My 8 3/4 cents on this is that we have a policy in place, and that's to fund these different events, and we're going to have a discussion in the near future on what our policy may or may not, it may change, it may not. So I think out of fairness to all these organizations, we make good on our current policy. I'm going to support these items tonight, and I do believe that these should be funded through the duration of a year, and if our policy does change based on our Committee of the Whole workshop, then that would be something that next year they would be actually looking at dealing with those changes. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to the discussion. One question that I had, though, I know that we throw out the numbers 100,000, but my memory tells me it was significantly less than that, and part of it included value for dedicated or volunteer hours as well. Do you remember what that actual figure was?
I believe for the entire year for Pima.
Well, I mean, just overall, if you take that out, their hours.
Oh, if you take that
actual
out,
cost to the
I believe we
department.
were still in excess of $80,000.
Okay, thank you.
But remember too, that was over 30 events, and some of those events that were mentioned on there will not reoccur.
A couple of comments. One is looking forward to the board actually coming to a policy decision. That's one reason the board exists, is to make policy decisions. So let's see what happens in April and see if we can't clean this up for the future. Going back to specifically, we're on cruise item, and I have a couple of questions on the cruise. We can come back to that. I noticed that you had a single access last year, and you said that was cumbersome. You're going to have more than one, two, or more? And where will the two accesses be for bringing in the vehicles?
Well, last year we tried a little bit different, having one access, because in previous years, we had a problem with cars coming from many directions and then getting bottlenecked right in that Lockport, Des Plaines, Illinois area. So last year we tried a new concept where we basically, and when I say we, it was the volunteers through Main Street through the chamber that were helping with the traffic setup and everything. But what they tried doing is funneling it through one entrance last year and exiting through one entrance to try to keep the traffic flowing a little bit easier. We had some successes with it, but again, being the first year, we had some issues with it as well. Moving forward, I think the people that were there last year will have a better understanding this year that we're going to be doing it in the same process. Anytime you make a major directional shift, if you will, that following year, you're inevitably going to have some problems just getting the word out and getting the message out. But after that first year, we've typically seen that those problems have alleviated themselves. Now, we probably still will have problems with people that are new to the event that maybe haven't come in past years or have maybe only showed up once or twice. But we expect that to be at a very minimal rate this year as compared to last year.
Okay. One of the other things, and doesn't necessarily change the cruise nights, but the other three say that the liability insurance has not been submitted. I noticed our motions will not cover that needs to be done before the event can occur. Do we need to put that in the motion, or
I can't update you on one. The March for Babies. They submitted their insurance today, so that one was submitted today. The other two, in the past, since these are ongoing events, we haven't had any issues with their certificate of insurance in past years, so we expect that certificate to be coming to us shortly.
Yeah, the other thing in the cruise night report, by the way, your outline talking about issues, pros and cons is excellent. I continue doing that because it's been worked out very well the last 3 or 4 years. But one of the issues that manpower declined as the year went on. The chamber provided less support, and we provided a little bit less support. One of the things we'd requested earlier this year is to maybe consider a reduced staffing that may be adequate. So if we were able to do it at the end of the year at a certain level, maybe we ought to consider that at the beginning of the year, which will help reduce the cost, which will take care of some of the discussion which we've been having.
Typically what we see, though, is at the end of the year, although staffing is reduced, also the attendees are reduced, too, as the summer wanes down into the fall. When those cruise nights start out at the beginning of the year, the first couple ones are slow, but when you start getting around the end of June, especially around the 4th of July weekend and into July, we're expecting, if the weather holds out, we expect thousands of people downtown. And then after that point, you start seeing less attendees and things like that. So even though the manpower is a little bit more reduced, you also have less attendees. But again, the same road closures are in effect, so we can get by with a few less attendees. With a few less volunteers. We would hope to have them out to take the stress off us, if you will. But we're also again seeing less attendees as the summer goes on with these cruise night events. It's really right after the beginning and into the middle of the summer, if you will, that we're really seeing our largest crowds.
Well, you all done a good job of managing it, so continue to do so. Let's see what the board policy is for the future. So, thank you.
I would propose a motion to authorize the road closures as identified in the staff report for cruise nights to be held on Tuesday evening from June 7th through August 30th, 2016.
Second.
Are there any other comments or questions? If not, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 2016 St. Mary Immaculate 5K. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to authorize the road closures as identified in the staff report for the 2016 St. Mary Immaculate 5K to be held on May 14th at 7:30 a.m.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Then I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 2016 Icon 5K Run. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to authorize the road closures as identified in the staff report for the 2016 Icon 5K to be held on May 21st at 8 a.m.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item? Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 2016 March for Babies. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to authorize the road closures as identified in the staff report for the 2016 March for Babies to be held on April 24th at 11 a.m.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Playa Vista. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to open a public hearing regarding an amendment to the annexation agreement for the property known as Grand Park Neighborhoods 4, 5, and 6.
I move that we open a public hearing to consider the amendments to this.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That motion carries.
And thank you. Mr. Mayor, if I may, just give a brief summary of the project and indicate the applicant's desire tonight to have the public hearing and to have consideration by the Board of Trustees of the case and close the public hearing. And the applicant has offered to delay any request for direction from the village board on formal action on the ordinances that are associated with the approvals or with the project for a 2-week period to allow for some additional coordination. But at this time, if I may, just give a brief summary of the project and where we're at with the project, and hold the public hearing, and close the public hearing, and certainly invite full consideration, full discussion from the board at this time. The project that's before the board, in terms of general context, was part of the original Grand Park annexation, neighborhoods 4, 5, and 6 of Grand Park. It's located south of 135th Street and east of Ridge Road. It was originally contemplated in the Grand Park annexation agreement as a pod or a neighborhood for active adult and senior living. It was approved for 728 dwelling units. The current petitioner, Hart's Construction, came before the village board and received approval for a senior living project in 2007 that was to include 407 homes, and that those homes were to be age restricted. Subsequently, following the market downturn, the petitioner again came before the board and asked for an amendment to the annexation agreement to replace that age restriction with an age-targeted marketing component. So there weren't covenant restrictions prohibiting people with children or people below a certain age, but it was still intended for all intents and purposes to be marketed to that active adult market. Again, finding some headwinds in the market, and after several years of marketing and efforts to be successful with that proposal, the petitioner has again come forth and is now requesting consideration for an amendment that would eliminate the age targeted marketing component and essentially open the subdivision to all types of housing, including the introduction of a conventional 2-story line of housing products that would be appropriate to the current market. What the current petitioner's request entails is an amendment to the annexation agreement, for which we have the public hearing this evening, an amendment to the a major change to the plan development, which was approved previously, for which the Plan Commission considered and held a public hearing at its most recent meeting, as well as a re-subdivision for a portion of the property. In terms of the specifics of the request, what's stipulated or what's requested in the annexation agreement includes a reduction in the overall number of units that are permitted from 407, was approved in 2007, to a new total of 321 dwelling units. This is primarily by a reduction of the proposed townhomes that were in the original plan, as well as reflecting the fact that there are a handful of homes that have been constructed to date. So the new proposed unit count would be 321 dwelling units. Will be made up of 6 townhome units that have already been constructed, 77 lots that have currently been approved for ranch-style, single-family detached homes, which could also be constructed with a conventional 2-story home under the applicant's modified plan, as well as 238 newly subdivided single-family lots that would be partially converted from the original approved townhome units. The annexation agreement would affirm that the setbacks that are approved for the ranch-style homes that are currently approved, that those setbacks would still remain in effect, that an 8-foot interior side setback would be approved for the conventional 2-story product on those existing lots that are to remain re-subdivided. And there are some timeline stipulations for the applicant to make a commitment to complete construction of the detention pond adjacent to 135th Street, as well as a bike path on 135th Street east of the main project entrance. The amendment would reiterate the applicant's commitment to paying impact fees to District 308 for the school impact, as well as a commitment to dedicate a 4.25 acre park site to the Oswego Land Park District, and continue its commitment to pay an impact fee to the Park District for the improvement of that on-site park, which it's worth noting the park dedication is over and above what's required by ordinance, which had been satisfied previously through the overall Grand Park development. So those are the major proposed changes to the amendment to the annexation agreement. In terms of the plan development itself, what's being proposed for modification, again, it's the reduction in the total approved dwelling units from 407 to 321. Would be eliminating 180 of the 186 townhome units that were part of Hartz's original approval in 2007. Will be eliminating the private clubhouse amenity that was programmed for the then intended senior living, and replacing it with the donation of the 4.25 acre public park site, as well as introducing a series of 2-story conventional home products that would supplement the existing detached ranch model, which would continue to be offered for sale on the 55-foot lot width portion of the project that's to remain as currently final platted. So those are the main aspects of the proposed amendment to the annexation agreement and the major change to the plan development, which has been approved. Staff's evaluated the changes against the required findings of fact for a special use for plan development, and we affirm, just in summary, that the findings of fact can be demonstrated to support approval of the major change to the plan development. Likewise, we've evaluated the proposed changes against the requirements of the subdivision code and zoning code, and we confirmed that the proposed changes meet the requirements of the village's codes. With respect to the pattern book that's been provided for the new 2-story single-family product line, staff confirms that the product complies with the village's residential design guidelines. And so there are no issues in that regard. And staff lastly notes that the project had been considered by the Plan Commission, and the Plan Commission did vote to recommend approval. So in conclusion of the brief staff overview, staff feels that the project would be a much needed change to allow the developer to move forward and hopefully attain success in the current marketplace, providing a product that is clearly a better match for the current market than with the limitations that have been in place for the last several years. And in advance of any public comment relative to the proposed amendment to the annexation agreement, staff would be seeking a favorable motion from the board. So that concludes the brief staff overview. And I know the petitioner is prepared to address the board as well. And likewise, they've offered to delay any formal action relative to preparing the ordinances for till the board's next meeting to allow for some additional coordination.
Good
evening. I'm Mike Martin, attorney for the applicant. Use this microphone. 24012 West Main Street, Plainfield. With me tonight, I have brought the architect, the civil engineer, the vice president of Hart's Construction, our sales manager, and several other planning staff and representatives to answer any questions you might have. Before we started this project, I made certain that my client went and talked to the 3 existing residences or homeowners in the subdivision. 2 of the homeowners bought ranch models. We presented the product to them. The one homeowner here is here tonight who bought a condominium, Christine Kopkowski, and what we're asking to do tonight, because I've been requested actually by some of the trustees, is to meet with Christine and see if we can't address some of her concerns. We've addressed the other 2 homeowners' concerns regarding the project, and so that's why tonight, we're scheduled for the public hearing. Let's hold the public hearing. Let's get your comments. Let's get your input, and then give us time to meet with Christine. And we've already set a meeting with her, and then we'll come back, and then we'll see if we can't address. We may not be able to, but we're at least going to try again, or try to see if we can. So we'd like that opportunity. That's why we're asking you just to set it over at the end of this. Quite frankly, since 2007, my client's fortunate to still be in business with the recession, but no one can sit on a subdivision and invest the money that's already been invested in this and not develop it. It's not good for my client. It's not good for the village. It's not good for the people who bought there. The best thing for this development to go forward and to go forward for the village and for everyone else concerned is to start selling homes from it. The product has not sold. It's as simple as that. Fortunately, my client has the financial wherewithal to stay there and to go forward. We have sold the product in Lockport. We sell it at Lago Vista. And my client has been in development business for more than 50 years and has been very successful with it. What we now know will sell is 2-story single-family residences. What we have is already, however, installed water and sewer for all of the condominiums. So we're going to be expending about $750,000 to rip out water and sewer and replace it. We have an area in the subdivision consisting of about 77 lots that are platted for the ranch homes where we have sold the 2 ranch homes. That's that gold area on the concept plan. Well, we've got water and sewer in there. We've sold 2 homes. We can't rip it out. So we need to leave that, and that's what we're asking to leave. That's where you get the smaller width lot. You get the 55 width lot. And that's where we're asking for a side yard of 8 feet on the single-family product. And we're doing that in the amendment to the annexation agreement because that's the way Grand Park was set up. When MPI came in, they didn't have variances. They had all of their side yard setbacks in the annexation agreement. And when Hart's came in 2007, they had all of their variations for the ranch homes in the annexation agreement. So we're asking to continue those variations because we'll still build ranch homes on the gold lots if we can sell them. But if we can't, we have a 2-story single-family residence product, and we need a side yard variance of 8 feet, so we put that in the amendment to the annexation agreement. All of the other lots, except for of all the blue and the green lots, and the difference is the width. Some are 65 feet wide, some are 80 feet wide, but they're all over 10,000 square feet except for 3. So we've tried to do everything we can to design it to meet your ordinances so that we don't have to ask for anything, and we can build a single-family, 2-story subdivision out according to the way Plainfield wants it. Now, with the reduction in density by the number of units we lose, we can no longer, well, it didn't sell. We can't sell the age-targeted, the senior, and the clubhouse and the amenities. There's just simply not enough money with the number of units to do that. And when we came along, we had previously In 2007, and again, when we went to age-targeted, we made a deal with the school district. Well, we've made the same deal with the school district. We're going to honor that. We're going to pay them an impact fee of $3,000 per residence at the time of the issuance of the building permit. We're also going to go back and on the ranch models that are up there and on the 5 condominium units that haven't sold, we're going to pay them a $3,000 impact on those when we issue the occupancy permit. So we're actually going back to square one with those other residences and paying another $30,000, and we're going to generate close to $1 million to the school district. The Park District, we're paying almost $2,500 per building, and at the time of the building permit to the Park District for impact fees to develop a park. And the Park District said, oh, well, we'd really like to have a park site here so we don't have to worry about kids crossing the street and that. And even though the park donations, MPI was really, really good in meeting its donations. It over-donated to the school district by 8 acres, millions of dollars in excess of what it had to do. And the same thing with the Park District. But we said, fine, we'll give you the park site, which is 4.25 acres, and we'll give it to you as a charitable donation. It's not part of your land donation ordinance. We've already met it. But it's a good idea because we can't build a clubhouse there, and a park site which would be maintained by the homeowners association, it's better to have it with the Park District for longevity purposes. And then the Park District said, well, we don't really like that bike path that you had that goes up through the Park District or through the subdivision and goes into the park site. We don't want it going into our park site. And really, because then it would only be a short path through and behind the other homes, it really doesn't make any sense to put it on a homeowners association. So we said, okay, fine, and staff agreed with us. We'll eliminate that part of the bike path, but we'll still do the bike path that's considered the regional one on 135th Street. And we're going to put that in. It's a 10-foot wide paved asphalt path, and it'll be in the dedicated right-of-way, and it'll be dedicated to the Park District, okay? And we've put in the agreement the timing of when we're going to make these improvements. We have a deadline on the amendment to the annexation agreement to put in the bike path, to finish the detention ponds, so that the overall appearance of the subdivision improves. Because we want to market it, we want to sell it. We plan to build at least 2 models in the gold color lots. We plan to build another 5 models along 135th Street. So we're coming along and spending the money to rip out and reinstall water and sewer, to build the models and to go forward, because we think that this product, we have to go to what's going to sell in the market. Our pattern book, we've tried to comply with your ordinances. We haven't asked for any variations from that. And I have the architect here if there's any questions about the pattern book and what we plan to install. But we think it's in the best interest of the village. It's in the best interest of the Park District, the school district, and everyone involved. My client, obviously, but we've lost a lot of money. The plan that we put forward is, okay, well, if we would have sold 407 units, we would have made a lot more money. But it's not selling, so it's time to say, look, what good is a plan that doesn't sell? Let's have something that actually works and sells. So that's why we're here, and that's why we're seeking your approval. And I'm available to try and answer any questions, and I can have any of the representatives try to address any questions you may have to.
I have some questions, but it's a public hearing. Is there anybody from the public who wants to say something first?
My name's Christina Kupkowski, last name spelled Kupkowski. I live at 13650 South Playa Vista Boulevard. I am the sole townhome owner in Playa Vista, and I'd just like to give you a few of my concerns with this new development. My biggest concern is that there are going to be no more townhouses built. As you can see from the change in this plan, my townhouse is going to be surrounded by larger model homes. So now, not only will my townhouse be unique in a subdivision, it will be out of place and dwarfed by its neighbors. And so you're looking at 5 units that are currently empty that will be virtually impossible to sell because who's going to come to a single-family subdivision to buy a townhouse? My home is going to be extremely difficult to sell at some point in the future when I go to sell, because there are going to be limited comps in the area and limited folks that are going to come to a single-family subdivision looking to buy a townhouse. Secondly, when I purchased my home, I was sold on a subdivision. I was sold on the subdivision partially due to the clubhouse feature. I was expecting to be able to utilize this clubhouse and its amenities as part of my daily life. How am I going to be compensated for the loss of this clubhouse that Harts is now proposing to remove from the subdivision? And finally, I just want to leave you with this thought. We know that there is currently a market for the Playa Vista development as it currently stands, because all you have to do is look at the Fox Run subdivision that's south of Renwick Road, that is similar in vein to what is currently proposed at Playa Vista, and it is they closed out. It looks exactly the same. And I was just recently out in Oswego at the Villas of Southbury, that is a very similar subdivision to this one that is selling and building houses. So what does that say? So the question has to be asked, what is Harts doing that these others, what isn't Harts doing that these others are, that Harts hasn't been able to sell a house and these other communities are? Thank you so much.
Mr. Martin, I have a couple of questions if you want to. While we're on the clubhouse thing, the sign's still up for the clubhouses?
Is the sign up for the clubhouse?
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that, is it? Yes, Mr. Hagan says it is.
Unless somebody took them down, they were up. They're up there, a while back. And after this discussion had started, I went out and took a look. I'm a little confused. Who's going to run the park district? The 4.25
The
acres?
Oswego Land Park District, we're going to dedicate the park to the park district.
And they will maintain it,
We're,
not the
right, we're
homeowner.
giving them another 4.25 acres, and they're going to build a neighborhood park.
And
in
they will
agreement
maintain it.
with them.
At one point, you said the homeowner association was going to maintain
Well, no,
it.
the alternative would have been the homeowners association
Okay.
maintaining it, and
I just
I think it's
clarify.
better with the park
I'd rather have the
district.
park district run it.
Oh, yeah, we want the
I'm very sensitive to giving too much to do the homeowners.
right.
Nothing in the minutes of the last meeting talked about something you said around the homeowner association. I don't know whether you remember what you said the last plan commission meeting. You made a change from two times ago. There was some statement, and then you changed it for the last one. It was, I think, a more resident-friendly homeowner association.
Well, there is first off, the 6 units in the townhome will be their own association. And they will be paying basically 1/6 of the grass maintenance, the landscape maintenance, and the snow removal, because that's what they would maintain. At some point in the future, it may need to be recited, it may need new gutters and that, so they would have to have their dues accommodate those type of improvements in the future. And that actually will be less expensive to those owners, because it's going to be a lot less expensive than maintaining the amenity package that was previously contemplated, the clubhouse and the other amenities that were going to be there for the senior association. So they actually will be paying less in dues. The homeowners association, then that townhome building is just treated as one home with another homeowners association. And that homeowners association, the only obligations of that are going to be to maintain the entrance monuments and the 3 retention ponds, because they're wet. So they would be responsible for that. So they'd just be paying those dues, and I don't figure those dues would be that high. So, I mean, and I think there was some concern about whether an association with 6 units would work. They work all over Chicagoland. I think that the smaller the association, the more likely you are to pay your dues because you see your neighbor every day. I think the larger associations are much more difficult to get people involved and people to run them. But that's just my opinion. Some associations work, some associations don't. But right now, hanging on, 1 unit sold in the condos in 9 years. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense to hang on to something that's not going to happen. The amenity package is never going to happen. The units aren't selling. What is Hart's doing? We built 5 models of ranch homes. We built the townhome building. We paid the money to purchase the land, and we've paid the real estate taxes and maintained the land. We spent millions of dollars on this. If people are questioning our commitment, we put a lot of money in it. It hasn't worked.
I'm not questioning your commitment. I'm sure it's there. Do support you trying to find a market to fill this up because we're a lot better off having it full. I'm a little bit concerned how you get there from here, though. I think your plan is good, and I certainly would support that. However, I'm concerned about a homeowner association. If you have, say, a quarter full, I think you need to maintain strong involvement with homeowners to support that. If it's not anywhere near 75%, in which case you can turn it over to the homeowners.
Right.
But up till then, you need to make sure that, at least in my mind, you need to make sure that you're supporting it without putting undue burden on the homeowners.
Well, the Community Interest Association Act requires us to do that. So Hart's will be involved in this for a long time. We were projecting, and we would be happy with the single-family residence or product selling at the rate of maybe 25 homes a year. So we're going to be involved in the association and running it and maintaining it for many, many years before it gets turned over.
Yeah, I gather we're delaying the vote on the other 2 items to allow you to have the discussions, and I hope that is fruitful. I would suggest, see what you can work out because legitimate concerns, but again, we've run into this before where there's been a single, just over here, off of Van Dyke, where a single house was sold and it wasn't developing beyond that. And you're in the same kind of position, so I think you've got a plan that we should support. I think you're following our rules, and I'm particularly keen on making sure that the design of the houses isn't changed because of that. I think we did a good job trying to insist that things look good, and I think if you build them to the standards that we've prescribed, it should be fine. So it'll be an asset to the community, and I hope it can go forward and be successful.
Thank you very much.
The way I look at things when I look at these projects, and I'm a fairly new trustee here, is I look at how it impacts first of all, in concentric circles working downward from the region, then to the township, then to the city, then to the actual neighborhood itself, and then to the neighbors. And in this case, we have one of the neighbors here who was impacted, and she's made her concerns expressed. And in the packet, which I agree with Ms. Polito, they should be online so everybody can see them. It says here, in order for the Board of Trustees to approve a major change, which you're requesting to development, it must make 2 findings of fact as follows. The special use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate area. Well, there are only 3 right now. 2 of the 3 say it's okay, but it is injurious to 1, as evidenced by her expression tonight. For the purposes already permitted and not substantially diminish property values within the neighborhood. Now, Ms. Kapkowski feels that it will diminish property values within the neighborhood. And while I would like to see the property built out, and it's a nice project you have here, I could not support it in its current form until her concerns are allayed.
I understand that. But in its current form, I don't really think that she could sell her townhouse to anybody. So, whether or not we're talking about a future resale being impacted, when this gets built out, that's the best thing that'll happen. And I can see scenarios where, I'd like to move closer to my grandkids. Nana and Papa could live in one of the townhomes when the kids live in one of the houses so I can visit my grandkids. I can see a market for that, and I can even go over to Bolingbrook and show you where this has happened. and where it happened back in the 1990s, where there was a townhome project and a building got built, and the single family around it, the builder went bust, and the townhomes never got built out. And there's one townhome building in a single family residential project. It works, it's filled, it's marketed, it sells. You know, I mean, so, you know, I understand her concern. I can understand living there with nothing selling.
Well, yeah,
And-
I mean,
and
when,
being
when
the only person there.
those of us who have bought houses, though,
Yeah.
we all go in with an expectation of what the neighborhood's going to look like. And I think she went in with the expectation, the sign's still up there, clubhouse.
That's
There's
right.
not going to be a clubhouse. So in
That's right.
terms of her initial, her initial expectations were severely diminished. And until, hopefully you guys can work things out and she can come back and say, Hearts is great and we're all good to go.
Well, I think we owe her and you every effort to make to try and do that. I'm not sure we'll be able to. I mean, but we're going to try and see if we can't come to some agreement with her.
Thank you. That'd be great.
All right.
You know, Mr. Martin, you know, the trustees' points are very valuable and valued, and the resident has very positioned points also. But to get back to something that's really basic, Mr. Martin, what are you going to do for that woman, for that resident? I mean, just, you know, nebulously saying, well, in the future we're going to do. You know, people in hell want ice water and they ain't getting it. And that's the same thing. I don't want that to happen to one of our residents. I'm very excited about you people moving forward, Hearts moving forward with this. But we also have a resolution. And you're saying, well, we're going to work with that person. Exactly. I know you know what you possibly could do. What could you do to help that individual? Something very specific, not something, oh, we'll talk to her. You know, talking in the future often times is misleading, because we're going to vote on something in a
Well,
minute.
I haven't talked to her, so I haven't heard what she wants. So how can I answer as to what she would do at this point? What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask her if there's some way we can't resolve whatever her differences are. And then I'm going to hear what she has to say, and I'll talk to my client, and we'll see if we can't reach some ground. If we can, we can. If we can't, we can't. And but I can't tell you today what I'm going to do, because I don't know. I haven't had the conversation with her yet.
You had no conversation with her.
Our sales manager, Bill Hagan, went to her before we filed with the village, explained what we were going to do, and then after that, I sent her a letter. We sent her the notice letters, just as we did with the other residences, you know, the other two individuals. And the other two individuals had meetings with Hearts representatives, and, you know, their concerns were addressed. We haven't had that meeting with Ms. Kupkowski, so I can't really tell you what we're going to do until we have the meeting.
I think that's why the plan is only to do A and B this evening, and to
Right.
forego the other ones until that discussion has been completed.
Yes, sir.
I guess I would reinforce some of the concerns that you've heard already on the board, and that is, I mean, certainly I support the developer in wanting to make a change and become more successful, absolutely. I mean, we certainly appreciate the investment you've made and the attempts you've made to try to build a quality product. It's not working, the market's not doing it, so it doesn't make sense to change. Absolutely, I would support that. The only thing that outweighs that for me is the concern or the protection of the existing resident. And in this situation, it's really Ms. Kupkowski, because she's in a really unique situation, and she's going to be one of 6 units, townhome units in there. And I know you make a mention that, you know, with the HOA, 6 units is fine in Chicago and everything else. I live in a homeowners association with 474 units, and we have a hard time getting 5 people to volunteer. So if you got 6 units, maybe that sell, maybe that don't. Now you're trying to get people not only to volunteer to run that, but, you know, what if somebody doesn't submit their dues on time? You think they're going to have the wherewithal to take that other person to court? What if they don't do the reserves? Who's going to replace the roof when it starts to leak? I think we're really setting her up in a bad, or her and the future residents of the other 5 in a bad situation. And I guess that's where I would look to you and your client to try to come up with some fair and strong resolution that's going to last the next 20, 30, or 40 years.
Well, there already is. There's a Community Interest Association Act that if they don't pay their dues, there is a lien. The association can throw them out as by filing a forcible entry and detainer action. They can take possession of the unit. They don't have to act on that. They can just file their lien. When the unit goes to sell, they can collect the past dues together with interest and with attorney's fees.
But now you're expecting you said the
Yeah,
six
I mean,
townhomes,
so-
the
so
six
th-
townhomes is gonna be their own HOA.
Yes.
So they're gonna have to do that on an individual basis, and
That's
what
correct.
person's gonna have the wherewithal to be able to do that? They might not even be able to get a quorum together to get a board.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess, if I walk down the hall and I see the guy who isn't paying the dues and and the work isn't going to be done, I think it's a lot different than, 475 different homeowners, because you got to walk by me every day and I got to say, hey, what's going on here? I think the smaller the association and the smaller they are, the more likely they're going to work. And I can tell you right now, there are literally thousands of these units, 6-unit townhome associations in the city of Chicago. And so, you can all you can do when you set up any association is set it up according to the Community Interest Association Act and provide it's supposed to do, and you can't, there's no predictor of success. Will this association work as opposed to the other association?
I'm not buying it. I think you're setting it up for failure. I think it needs to have some other plan besides a 6-unit townhome association.
Well,
Whether that's rolling it into the other plan or how you can do that, I don't know.
The other people shouldn't have anything to do with this association, with maintaining our landscaping and our snow removal. The other units aren't getting their landscaping and snow removal
And what about
maintained.
the other suggestion that one of the planning commissioners made?
Pardon me?
What about one of the suggestions that the other planning commissioners made, which was to build more townhomes?
Well,
But then you have a bigger base that could support it.
why would we build more townhomes that don't sell? That's what I don't understand.
Well, that's what I'm
Is
saying
there
is, why don't you
something-
come up with a creative solution that would work? I don't know that the 6-unit
Okay,
HOA will. That's
Can
all.
I ask you, besides saying it doesn't work, do you have a suggestion that you think that would make it work that I can incorporate?
I don't. That's why I suggested rolling it into maybe the bigger association and tying the two together.
Well, the bigger association doesn't share the same interest. They're not getting their grass cut. They're not getting their snow removed.
Well, I'm not saying this is easy, but I'm saying that's the situation that you put Ms. Kopkowski in, because you sold her a unit, and when you even said nobody else was buying out there. And now
Well-
she's in this one of 6 units. I don't know how that works.
Well, when she bought that unit, she was going to be paying to have her snow removed, her grass cut, and all the snow and the grass cut and removed on the other buildings, plus the maintenance fees and all that for the pool and for the clubhouse and the other amenities that aren't there. In the long run, it's less money.
Right, so she
And-
writes less of a check, but in 5 or 10 years, when the roof needs to be replaced and there's no reserve, then what happens?
Well, the association should collect reserves.
And what if
When
what if-
we
what if she
set it
can't-
up,
what if
their
she can't
dues
get
are
the
gonna-
volunteers
their
to
dues
do
are
it?
going to have a reserve, because the Community Interest Act requires that you have a separate reserve account. You have a general association
What if
account.
nobody
And you have a
volunteers?
separate bank account for a reserve.
Excuse me, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to ask you both just I think these are all very good questions. I think you've got some very good input that's been given by the board. You were very kind and offered to wait so that you could have 2 weeks to meet with the resident who raised her concerns. I think we afford you the opportunity to have that and come back to us.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to chime in, actually. Like,
Oh, it's not closed yet. I just
Okay.
figured that line of conversation needed to
I have 2 points.
to
The
closure.
first one is you had mentioned clearly that you had worked closely with the school district to make sure the impact fees made them whole. Did they respond that was sufficient?
Yeah, we have a signed agreement with the school district. It's a letter. It's attached to the amendment to the annexation agreement.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is they didn't have any negative comments or concerns that we went from one type of home to another, and they're going to have the infrastructure to take care of providing education for
Correct.
to be brought into
Correct, and they
development.
addressed that too.
Change. Okay. The second one is I've seen another development, okay, outside of Plainfield where residents were promised tennis courts, XYZ, and then the annexation got changed. Residents didn't know about it. There's a class action lawsuit now with several residents coming together and suing that builder. Here we have maybe one, homeowner that may be in that same situation where I don't think she's going to have 50 neighbors to help support a class action lawsuit to create legal leverage to get an amenity or something. In other words, to make her feel made whole. So where I'm at is where Trustee Wojciechowski had said as well, I'm not comfortable with until she is made whole, and I don't know what she's going to ask, and you don't know what she wants. Until that is settled, I'm not comfortable supporting this. At that point, I would like to work with you and see what we can do to get this subdivision built out. And I do appreciate the comments from the trustee to my right as well, going over the HOA issue. I'd like to see that addressed as well, and I won't continue the back and forth on that since I think we've heard all we need to hear about that. But I would like to see something different, and it's not my job to figure it out for you, unfortunately. So that's where I'm at tonight. And this is a public hearing. If a resident does want to come back up and say something else, if they agree or disagree with something that was said by the board or by one of our guests, they're welcome to at the microphone. Thank you.
I would like to clarify one of my earlier statements. I mean, I'm not looking for Hearts to pay her off, essentially. I'm looking for a fair, reasonable agreement between the two parties. And if it's fair and reasonable, and for some reason Ms. Kopkowski just is obstinate and doesn't want to do it, and you guys are more than bending over for her, then I'm liable to side with you, okay? I'm not trying to be strict and say you're going to give her the world. Just a fair, reasonable offer to make her whole, because she came into the project with certain expectations.
This is a public hearing. Are there any public comments? If not, then we're seeking a motion to close the public hearing and return to the regular business meeting.
So moved to close the hearing.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. Are there any other comments or questions from the board? Thank you. Then we'll proceed with the next item on the agenda.
Be in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Plainfield Meyer Plaza 3, Lot 3. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to direct the village attorney to prepare an ordinance approving a special use for a drive-through.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I may jump in just to give a brief introduction to the case here. This is a continuation of retail development at the Meyer Outlots. This is I believe the third consecutive outlot building that we've had presented for development by the current developer. There are two requests before the board this evening. One is for site plan review approval for a new retail multi-tenant building, as well as they're seeking approval of a special use for a drive-through window operation, kind of speculatively to have that approval in place to assist with marketing for the site. The project is consistent with the two other buildings that have been constructed. I believe the one on the hard corner there is now open with Pet Supplies Plus and AT&T, and then to the east, O'Reilly Auto Parts in a second kind of twin companion building is under construction. So this is the third of the buildings proposed by the current developer. So with that, they're currently seeking approval of or to direct the attorney to prepare an ordinance for the special use for the drive-through window operation. And then the next item on the agenda would be for site plan review approval for the project.
Is there any particular occupant looking to use that particular drive-in?
At this time, they have not disclosed. I think there are kind of two approaches, and we'll see with another case on the agenda this evening. The developers can either try and get that entitlement up front and have it to assist with their sales, or they'll defer and they'll wait till they have an end user lined up and come in with a specific plan. So I think this is the case of the former, where they are looking for that approval up front to assist in.
Yeah, and one of the things the Plan Commission did was to review the traffic patterns and parking and so on, and they basically supported the design for this and for the other one as well.
That's correct. I know the Plan Commission had some recommendations for kind of shifting location of a trash enclosure, making some minor modifications to the curb cuts from the main Meyer access drive, expanding an area for landscaping along that access drive, and the petitioner has submitted a modified site plan to address those recommendations from the Plan Commission. And in fact, the Plan Commission does recommend approval.
So the motion tonight, the first one is to the drive-through. Again, I'm okay with that. The second one, does it have the modification of the site plan in there, or is
That's
that
correct.
something?
The plan has been modified subsequent to the plan commission meeting, and the board should have the current plan in your packet, and we have on the screen here as well.
Let me make comments I was going to make earlier on the Playa Vista one. I like the format you're using, John, in terms of the putting the issues out so we know what to look for, and that's an excellent communication, which is a big improvement from what we used to do. So thank you for that. So.
Jonathan, can you confirm, is that north connection driveway, is that a two-way?
So the intent would be one-way contiguous with the building, immediately north of the building. There would be an opportunity two-way on the east side of the building there.
I'm sorry, I probably wasn't clear. The driveway that's shared between the north, to the lot to the north?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's correct.
That's a two-way. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, the motion was made and seconded to direct the village attorney to prepare an ordinance approving a special use for a drive-through for Plainfield Meyer Plaza 3, Lot 3. Trustee Peck? Yes. Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to approve the site plan review for Plainfield Meyer Plaza 3, development of Lot 3 of the Meyer Plainfield subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Not, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Peck? Yes. Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 127th Street, Plainfield LLC. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to direct the village attorney to prepare an ordinance granting approval of a special use permit for the Parkland Preparatory Academy at 27040 West 127th Street for up to 60 students.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
That's an excellent proposal. It reuses a building which is already there. It's excellent use of it, so I strongly support it, and I appreciate them coming in, taking advantage of something that's already there.
The only thing that I saw is the driveway around the building. Is that new issue, a new part of the plan?
Yes, thanks for allowing me to clarify that. What the petitioner did is demonstrate that a drive-through could be constructed if it were needed in the future. There are approximately 60 students planned for the facility. They're provided in cooperation with area school districts. The transportation typically is provided by the school district, so they're grouped together. They don't come individually by parents for drop-off and pickup. It's not the petitioner's intent to construct or make any changes to the site. That was merely kind of a demonstration that if that were a concern or if that were a need in the future, that the property could accommodate it. But staff's confident that the existing access point and on-site circulation will be sufficient to meet their drop-off and pickup demand.
I'm sorry, so we're not approving that lane tonight then, correct?
That's correct.
And then the intent was for a drive-through or for a drop-off?
The intent is just to remain the existing improvements as is. So I apologize for the confusion.
No, but with that design or that plan, what was the thought behind that? Was it actually for a drive-through or just for like
for
a drop-off?
It was to demonstrate that could be incorporated if needed in the future, but
Thank you.
not anticipated.
All the students are bussed in anyway, so they'd be dropped off.
That's correct.
In unison,
Typically,
picked
the
up in a
transportation
bus,
is
so-
provided by the school district. So, for example, District 202 would be via Septran, contracted through the school
What
district.
they have is plenty adequate because it was built for 125, wasn't it? So.
That's correct. For the daycare students, it's a much higher student population with individual drop-off and pickup.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, the motion was made and seconded to direct the village attorney to prepare an ordinance granting approval of a special use permit for the Parkland Preparatory Academy at 27040 West 127th Street for up to 60 students. Trustee Peck? Yes. Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Meyer Subdivision, Lot 9. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to approve the final plat for the Plainfield 2, Lot 9 re-subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
All we're doing is splitting an existing lot into two pieces, right?
That's correct. You can see the logical order that I put together for the agenda for these cases. It would have made sense to bookend this with the earlier Lot 3, but the board approved a site plan review for this project and actually a plan development as well last fall. The petitioner came through Plan Commission, received a recommendation for approval of the subdivision at that time, and we were just pending receipt of the formal plat and applications and so forth, and so that's following on now at this time. So just a slight delay in the paperwork.
So for clarity, the west parcel is the O'Reillys?
That's
and the east
correct.
parcel is currently vacant, correct?
That's great. It's approved for a second retail building that I think is in the early stages of construction.
I guess I see a jog there in the right-of-way. Is there any reason that that's not a straight line for that jog?
This is actually part of the east leg of the intersection with 135th Street, so it's a section of IDOT-controlled right-of-way, and I think there are standard right-of-way tapers and step
That's
down
great.
so that's the end or the transition from being a state-controlled leg of a state highway intersection.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, the motion was made and seconded to approve the final plat for Plainfield 2 Lot 9 re-subdivision. Trustee Peck. Yes. Trustee Rassich. Trustee Wachowski.
Yes.
Trustee Benucci.
Yes.
Trustee Lamb.
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Vequity LLC Target Outlot. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to direct the village attorney to prepare an ordinance granting approval of a special use to permit a drive-through operation on Lot 1 of the Vequity subdivision.
And Mr.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
One where you talked about drive-through on either end being entitled now. When we've had trouble with drive-throughs in the past, it's because they're close to residential areas and worried about the noise. This is not an issue at all for these two drive-throughs, and as long as the traffic pattern is reasonable, which it appears to be based on the Plan Commission's review, it looks like it makes some sense to approve it.
That's correct. And just for clarification, the petitioner in this case does have an end user identified for one building. They're currently subject to a non-disclosure agreement, but we would expect to hear news of that shortly. They are requesting approval for the potential of a drive-through on both buildings. This is another case where there's some twin buildings. Given the trend of development in the area, the ambient sound from Route 59 and the lack of proximity to residences, staff certainly supports approval of the option, either one building or both buildings, to have the drive-through. And this is another case where the Plan Commission identified a recommendation to incorporate a secondary kind of an emergency access point. And the applicant has modified their plan to have a mountable curb that will be available for emergency access at the southeast corner of the lot. So that modified plan would be part of a administrative site plan approval to adjust any building modifications that are required for the current end user.
Thank you.
Jonathan, I'm sorry. So one of these, the drive-throughs, was originally approved, correct, with the original?
Actually, this is a case where the drive-through was not sought as part of the original site plan approval. They were kind of waiting for the end users to be identified in the event perhaps an end user didn't require drive-through, but they have a end user that does.
So for the north building with that drive-through stack, did we actually lose parking from the original proposal?
The parking is, I believe, actually increased slightly. And that's, they made some slight adjustments to the building orientation. The building to the north is actually going to have its main customer entrance facing Target on the west side of the building. They made a few changes that I think allowed to add parking.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, the motion was made and seconded to direct the village attorney to prepare an ordinance granting approval of a special use to permit drive-through operations on Lot 1 of the Vequity subdivision. Trustee Peck? Trustee Wachowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to reapprove the final plat of subdivision for the Vequity subdivision.
I move that we reapprove the final plat of the subdivision, of Equity subdivision.
Second.
The motion was made and seconded. Any comments or questions? If not, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Peck? Yes. Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Boulevard subdivision. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to approve the preliminary plat of the Boulevard subdivision, subject to the stipulations noted in the staff report.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item? If there are no comments or questions, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Peck? Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to approve the final plat of the Boulevard subdivision, subject to the stipulations noted in the staff report.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item? Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Peck? Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Administrators report?
None tonight?
Management services report?
No report.
Engineers report?
No report.
Planning department report? Building department report?
The operational report for January and February. I'd like to answer any questions if you have any.
Before you go on to the next one, we're going to take just a second. If any of the students want their paper signed, come on up. It's been a long meeting. We'll get you out of here.
Go to any trustee or mayor.
Right here.
Night. I sense a lawyer joke starting.
One, right here.
Where do you need to sign? Right here? You got it.
There you go, young man. You're welcome.
It's the longest one we've had in a long time. I mean, talk about thickness of the packs.
Next one's going to be about 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Yeah, they're gonna get off easy. Unfortunately, I don't memorize phone numbers any longer, but
Thank you for showing up, guys.
I got it. She wanted a phone number on there too. I was looking for the village's phone number. I don't know it by heart, sorry.
Are there any comments or questions for the building department? Public Works report.
Yes, I just have a few things. Most of these have been discussed before by the board. First item is consideration for an intergovernmental agreement with District 202. This is related to the Fort Beggs Street lighting. The village attorney, along with staff, has completed an intergovernmental agreement, draft intergovernmental agreement, whereby the school district will pay half of the cost for engineering as well as construction. We anticipate total construction and engineering to be less than $250,000. So you will see in item section 2 under D that it states that the school district will reimburse the village for half of the cost, 50% of the cost, with the amount estimated at $125,000. So that's the crux. To the point that was made earlier, these street lights are, the design's almost completed. We're ready to go out to bid here within a month, and they will be LED street lights for the entire section of Fort Beggs once this is approved. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
You know, I don't have a question, just have a comment, Alan. This is really a valuable addition to that particular area. It's a dark area, it's dangerous, and many students are crossing the streets from the parking lot to the high school. I'm really glad that you and the Plainfield School District cooperated to get this done. It's really valuable, and thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? No.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the village president to execute an intergovernmental agreement between the village and Plainfield School District as it relates to the Fort Beggs street lighting improvements.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Leon?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
The second item that I have is related to a very important project within the community. And Jonathan, if you go to the next slide. As the board is well aware, we have been very focused on the 143rd Street extension and actually crossed several milestones related to this project that we're very pleased with. The board did approve a contract and an agreement with Chambers, Collin, and Hartwell in Washington, D.C. to help us navigate the transportation bill. After several discussions, conference calls facilitated by Administrator Murphy, we really are looking at the Tiger Grant program as a possibility to assist with funding to finish the Tiger Grant application, which we only have 2 months to do that. There's quite a bit of coordination that needs to occur. Actually, Scott Threewitt, Randy Jessen, and I participated in 2 webinars with the Federal Department of Transportation. They hosted those talking about the Tiger Grant, so we're all gathering this information and how the system works. But we do need some additional assistance from CMT to assemble this information along with our other partner in Washington, D.C. and our staff internally. So what staff is bringing to the board for consideration is just a time and material assistance that would be provided by CMT to finish the Tiger Grant application. At a future board meeting, we would provide the board with an update as to how the process is coming along. So that's in essence the request for this evening, and staff recommends support.
I move that we approve professional service agreement with CMT at standard time and material hourly rates for support services. Their proposal says that they'll notify us if we get above 50,000. Do we need to put that in there? Or right now, we're approving an open-ended contract for a 2-month period. Probably won't exceed 50,000, but do we have a need to do that, or is the fact that they say they'll notify us if it's over 50 and you'll come back to us and let us know?
That's in the contract, and we would notify the board if we were even near that level too as well. You'll see it's noted that SB Friedman's in here as well, because we need to gather this is a really intense application, so you have to talk about cost-benefit analysis and all these things, job creation and different things like that. So it's very important that it's done properly if you even want to be competitive in the process. So
I'm all for it. I just don't want an open-ended one
I
without
understand.
some feedback. As long as you're going to feedback to us, if they get to that close to that limit, then fine. I have no problem with it. It's great.
That motion was made and seconded. Trustee Peck? Yes. Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Okay, changing gears, I know we missed a few of the students here, but we'll probably see most of them back at a tour at the wastewater treatment facility, because Doug, Mr. Kissel behind me here, is always very gracious in hosting chemistry, biology classes at all the high schools at our wastewater treatment facility. That being said, we have 5 large pumps, and they're actually 6 foot tall when they're out of the ground and pulled out of the ground, that have been installed as part of the original plant, the original phase. They're over 15 years old. The driving units, which we call them VFDs, variable frequency drive units, that are complex electrical piece of equipment that actually allows the pump to ramp up and ramp down. They actually run almost continuously when they're in their cycle, which actually saves the village a tremendous amount of electricity. So this bid is not only for the replacement of these pumps that have outlived their useful life, but also all the electrical equipment that is associated with that too as well. We have bid this project out. Engineer's estimate was $220,000, and our low bidder came in at $205,630, and staff would recommend approval, or recommends approval.
I recommend that the board approve, authorize the president to accept a low bid for $205,630 for replacement of the RAS, WAS pumps.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Peck? Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke? Yes. Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you. The next item that we have has been discussed by the board in the past too as well, and as part of the budget process. We're really excited about this project. It's actually in part the refreshing of Settlers Park, as the board is aware, many people in the public are aware too as well. There's tuck pointing that's needed, replacement of limestone out there, replacement of electrical lighting and things of that nature. The electrical part of it is actually in the $50,000 to $60,000 range, so you get an idea of the magnitude of the street lighting, the conduits, and some of the electrical panels that need to be replaced related to that. Also, there's a nice component in here that's included in the Veterans Plaza, where each one of the monuments will receive, if approved, a decorative concrete finish, like a stamped and stained finish, with a knee wall, extensive landscaping, lighting for all of the war memorials, as well as the American flag out there that's needed, and then a comprehensive landscaping package for that entire area. Included in this on the Settlers Park side are the resetting and replacement of brick pavers that are needed, concrete work that's needed out there too as well. There's some cracked and offset concrete sidewalks and walkways, pathways, and also some landscaping improvements. And that's actually the smaller part, but we're replacing trees outside of the Village Hall here, where we had a nice grove of ash trees out there too as well, which Public Works did remove those trees. So in essence, that's the crux of the project. We did receive a very favorable bid, well underneath the engineer's estimate of $293,000, and the low bid from DJ Landscaping was $263,686.68, and staff would recommend approval.
Are there any comments or questions?
I have a comment. Ellen, is there any possibility that pump will be repaired that's in the lake? It's really a highlight when, prom kids come, wedding people come to get their picture taken with it. Plus, it's really an amenity for the lake. It's really beautiful.
The pump's been refurbished, and we actually have a new cable for it too as well, so that'll be installed. That'll be installed this spring as well and operate through the summer.
A secondary question. One of my young neighbors asked me, is there any possibility we could get another alligator for the lake? You remember the...
We can work on that.
That was a highlight. The geese didn't like it, but the kids loved it. The alligator would go all around. Obviously, I'm only if no one knows, it is an artificial alligators. I think the muskrats ate it. But
if this was Florida, we probably wouldn't put them out there.
No, we probably wouldn't. No, okay,
yeah,
fine.
We can look into that, definitely. That's for sure.
I just had one question, I'm sorry. So there's a number of line items that were part of the actual bid process, and I was just curious as to, is there any way maybe to possibly save some cost by having some of those items that could be completed maybe by existing employees? Is that a possibility?
Well, we did look at that, and actually the ash trees were all removed by our staff in-house here, and the grinding of the stumps was completed by our in-house staff too as well. The plantings not only come with the actual work that's being completed, but also the guarantee that's behind it too as well. And you got to think about it in magnitudes of scale. That many of these plantings are not huge, but the vast number of plantings, it turns out to be a good sized contract in that you do get some discounts related to that, and then you get guarantees related to it too as well. So we've done our part we believe we've done our part. And we believe that in this case that it's best to contract out.
I think there was, just for clarity, I think there was still a line item in there for tree removal and stump removal. So I don't know if that work's been done. Obviously, we shouldn't be billed for it, that's all.
That's correct. I mean, if it's not gonna be undertaken, of course, it'll be an adjustment in the contract and be.
Thank you.
But I'll definitely take a look into that. Okay.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, we're seeking board consideration of a motion to authorize the village president to award the 2016 Settlers Park Refresh and Memorial Plaza Improvements Project to D&J Landscape, Inc., the lowest bidder, in the amount of $263,686.68.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
The last item that we have is we did reach out to our supplier that provided the snowplow truck, the 2.5-ton larger, actually one of the largest units that we have, snowplow truck, in our last season. And that it was through a cooperative bid, very similar to the state bid process. And we requested that the supplier provide the same price, if possible, for an additional vehicle, because we knew that we do need another vehicle. Now, to give the board a little insight, there are 2 vehicles that we have that are actually 1994s. They're 22-year-old trucks. We hope to get 20 years out of a large 2.5-ton snowplow truck. We have 2 vehicles that we've gotten 22 years out of them, and we've had some mechanical issues with these trucks. The vehicle that was authorized by the board last year and purchased and received replaces one of those 1994s. It was anticipated in the budget, in the draft budget, that we purchase an additional truck to replace this 22-year-old truck, and that luckily, or fortunately, the supplier did state that they would honor the prices from last year, the same price. We would actually receive, the truck itself would not be a 2016, it would be a 2017, so a 1 model year newer, but with the caveat that the approval had to be made before the end of this month. So we wanted to bring that opportunity to the village. We've been told that the state purchase price next year will increase because that's generally the way things go. Vehicles become more expensive over time, and that we believe that this is an opportunity to get the process started. I can tell you the last truck that we ordered took over 8 months, just over 8 months to get completed, from the time we ordered it to the time it was completed. So the earlier, I'm urging the board, the earlier you order a piece of equipment like this, the better the likelihood is it'll be here in September or October, and that's what our goal is. I would recommend, or staff would recommend approval of purchasing this Peterbilt truck at the quoted price.
I move that we authorize the purchase of a 2017 Peterbilt Model 348 snow plow truck and equipment from JX Peterbilt Enterprises for a total cost of $158,983.11.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Peck?
Sorry. So the new truck being added to the fleet, with the snow contractors, is this something that we do need to spend money on? In other words, it is going to be, if I heard you right, a replacement, correct?
That's correct.
And with the contractors and everything we talked about last year, hiring those for the snow and all that stuff, it's still going to be needed.
Still going to be needed, and again, it goes back to the snow removal discussion. Our goal is to have the manpower and the equipment to take care of a freezing rain event in a reasonable amount of time, because it's very difficult to predict and contract that out. And then the contractual services actually goes beyond that to supplement it, and we believe that's the most cost-effective way to do that. But again, keeping up with fleet replacement vehicles is very, very important, and this is an important purchase.
Saying that this was captured in the proposed budget for next year. Thank you.
Well, I think it's important that I want to thank you for stressing that it takes 8 months to build one of these. It's not like we can just go down to the car dealership down the street, buy it, and drive it home the next day. Because I know there are some, and was one of my concerns too, that why are we buying a snowplow in March? But if it takes 8 months, that alleviates that concern. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, the motion was made and seconded to authorize the purchase of a snowplow truck for the total cost of $158,983.11. Trustee Peck? Trustee Rassett?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you, that motion carries.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Police Chief's report?
Thank you. The first item I have on the agenda is requesting the board's approval for the purchase we had to make approximately 3 weeks ago for a monitoring unit, controlling unit for our HVAC system at the police department. Approximately 3 weeks ago, our HVAC monitoring and control system went out at the police department, and we had to make an emergency purchase. The system that we purchased, well, the original system, I should say, was with the original system in the building when the building was built back in 2005. So it had effectively reached the end of its life. The new system that we did purchase does include the added feature that it will give a notice, either through email or text message to the people that we've designated 24 hours a day. So in case there's a problem with the system, they can be notified immediately to go in and adjust or check whatever's going on. We didn't have that in place for this last system, and unfortunately, the system went out in the off hours, so it wasn't until the next morning that we knew what the problem was once we started checking into it. So I am requesting the board's approval for the payment of the system that we had to purchase for the HVAC unit in the amount of $19,975, and that would come out of the police building account, which we do have the funds through Mechanical Incorporated.
Chief, how long is this unit supposed to last, the one we bought?
The one that we had and the one that we bought generally has a life term of about 8 to 12 years. So the previous one we fit right into that time frame. This one again we hope to last about 8 to 12 years.
I move that we approve a contract. I'm sorry. No.
Go ahead.
I move that we approve a contract with Mechanical Inc. to bring a HVAC unit monitoring system back into service for a cost of $19,975.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Peck? Yes. Trustee Rassett? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you, that motion carries.
Thank you. The second item I have is a maintenance contract, renewal maintenance contract for the company that maintains our shooting range. In previous years, since our shooting range went in when the building was originally built, it was a year contract. This time, the company, Best Technology Systems, has offered us a 3-year contract in the amount of $9,930, which is only a $35 increase for the 3-year extension. So I am seeking board's approval for the approval of the contract with Best Technology Systems for 3 years in the amount of $9,930.
So moved.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Peck? Yes. Trustee Rassett? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you, that motion carries.
Thank you. The next item I have is also a maintenance contract with Fulton Technologies for the maintenance of our outdoor warning sirens. We currently have 12 sirens around the village, located around the village, and this maintenance contract would cover the maintenance of those 12 sirens, the controllers that go with them, and also for the replacement of a couple batteries that are in the current sirens that are reaching the end of their life. The maintenance contract with Fulton Technologies would be in the amount of $6,526, and that's what I would seek the board's approval on.
I move we renew the outdoor warning system annual maintenance contract with Fulton Technologies in the amount of $6,526.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Peck? Yes. Trustee Rassett? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Thank you, that motion carries.
Thank you. And the last two items I have are the PEMA report and the Police Department Operations report for January of this year. If anyone has any questions about either report, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Attorney's report?
No report, thank you very much.
reminders?
March 9th will be coffee with the mayor. March 10th will be Historic Preservation Commission meeting. March 14th will be our next committee of the whole. March 15th will be our planning commission meeting. And the 21st will be our next regular village board meeting.
Seeking a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That motion carries.